Now to create the default constructor, you do this. So public car, that's it. So it's quite simple, but you must make sure that this is a capital letter, so you must make sure that your C here is also capital. So it will follow your class file name. Now, what is this used for? What do we need this for? So I'll show you how to use this guy in the main class. So go to your main class, and now let's say I want to create a car object. Alright, once we create the car object, I can use this car object and declare a lot of different things, or I can use this car object to play with multiple different behaviors. So let's see how this works. If you remember how to declare your scanners are also considered as an object. So you start with the data type. Your data type is a car. You want to create a variable that is a car. So a car, you can say car1. So the first part here that I said car is your data type. Your car1 is the variable's name, the object's name equals to new car. Okay. So this new car refers to this guy. See this? So notice that this is car, and then you have the brackets, and this is also car, you have the brackets. So you're actually calling the function here, the constructor. You're calling the constructor from here and saying that by doing this I have created a car object, or to be more accurate we say an instance of a car object, which means a copy of a car object. You can have multiple copies. Another example would be something like this. It is the second copy. Alright. Now some of you might think, oh, do we have to always use car2, car1, car2 here? No. You can create something like this as well. Hello. Alright. Now, this just means it's the name or the way we identify this particular instance of the car object. Because if I were to just simply use car1, then it will say duplicate. See, variable car1 is already defined, so that means you're just creating another duplicate. So we don't want duplicates, so we create something like this so that we can identify the different objects that we already created. So right now we actually have effectively created 3 different cars, but now all these cars do not have any properties yet, so they are all null. So I'll do this one first. Okay, I don't want this, looks weird. Okay, now let's go here and we'll try to create a customized constructor. Creating a constructor with 2 parameters. Okay, variables. Okay, you need to first know what's the difference between a parameter and a variable. So a parameter is this. Let's say I'll create this first and then I'll show you what the difference are. So if you just create something like this, it'll say it's already defined because we are creating the same constructor here, so you don't like duplicates. So in order to change this, I write something like this, string color, and then I put string make. So these 2 things here, the color and your make, are now parameters. Here, this part here, they are variables, but once I put it into a parenthesis, it becomes a parameter. So a parameter, basically what it does, it creates a temporary variable to store a value temporarily, and then it just uses the value, it uses the variable to pass through contents. On the other hand, a variable like color and make, in this case that is highlighted in green, they can store the value and keep track of the changing value of whatever that you put inside there. So that's the difference. This is just used to pass values. This is to store values permanently, which you can change, of course. Alright, so after doing this, in most cases you will do this. Sorry, wait, this dot color equals to color, and this dot make equals to make. Now this is just one way of doing it. If you look at the slides, they use a slightly different method, which I'll show in a bit. So this is one way of doing it. What this means is that I'm saying take this color, which is the original variable, and equate it to whatever variable that you put it inside the parameters. Okay, so that's why we just want to identify that we are referring to this particular color. Now it's a bit all confusing, right? So another way of actually doing this is, let me just show you here. Let me comment this. I'll comment it, and I'll do one more. So public car, almost the same thing. String, oops, it's giving me some issue. Public car string car col string me. Notice that I completely changed these two guys, right? Now the reason why is because I want to differentiate between the parameters and my variables. Now if you're not using the same thing, then I can just simply do this. Color equals to col, okay, and make equals to ma. So in this case I didn't put this dot because it's unnecessary. Since I'm using a different name for my parameters, it's not necessary for you to use this dot color, okay? But I prefer to use this. I don't know, but it's just easy for me. Whenever I want to do debugging, it's easy for me to see where I went wrong. The reason is because if you have like multiple different constructors and everything, you have to keep track of your you have to keep creating different parameters, and that's a problem. So I'd rather just go through with this. Okay, so I'm just going to delete this guy and uncomment whatever that I did earlier. Okay, uncomment. Right, back to this. Now, what are we going to use this for? Earlier, we created two cars that has nothing in it, so contains nothing. This guy contains nothing for the variables or for the properties. Okay, so it's just empty properties. Now right now we want to create a car with properties. Let's see, new car. Now instead of invoking this default constructor, I want to invoke this constructor. So this constructor has types, right? So you have two types, the color for string color and string make. So you have to insert the value for two strings. Okay, so you must make sure that the first one is the color and the second one is your make, because it must always follow the sequence here. So first thing color means you enter the first thing as color. Now you have successfully created a car that is green color and by Produa. Okay, now let's add some things to this. What if I want to print the cars? Let's see, so I want to print the cars. Okay, so I'm just saying car number 1. Right, the second one I try to print car number 2. Okay, no, I'll just print car number 3. Car 3. Right, let's print. Oops. Waiting. Notice this. It gives you some weird values, correct? This is something like a primary key, which means Java uniquely identifies each car by itself and by assigning some variant numbers here. Okay, so if you've learned database, the basic database fundamentals, you know that to uniquely identify objects, you need to have a primary key. So this is kind of like its primary key, but that's not what we want, right? we want to know how to print the values inside these things.